Hello, welcome to a busy Western airfield, and I am so excited because I'm finally picking up India Victor after its mammoth avionics work. Let's jump in and see what she looks like. I'm like a kid on Christmas Day seeing all this stuff. I can't wait to jump in the air and see how it goes. Of course, we've got the GTN 650 XI, which was in it before, the G5s, but now we've got the GI 275 engine monitor that's giving me data on all of the cylinders. It's giving me fuel flow information, fuel endurance information, and of course the GFC 500 Autopilot. It's cost me a lot of money. We've got the electric trim, which I'll just operate here. That's going to be nice. Yeah, spent a lot of money on this, but it's now properly equipped for my oceanic adventure later this year. Should we go flying and see how it performs? I can't wait. Clip her up!
So on my first flight with the new kit, I'm just going to get myself gently acquainted with it all. I'm not going to do anything too clever. This is a short flight from Western to Earls Colne, about 40 minutes away, and once we've landed there, I'm going to talk you through my plans for crossing the Atlantic in the Aero in May. I'll tell you how that's all going, and we'll talk about the logistics, what it's likely to involve.
To Western Radio, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor radio check.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, to Western Radio, good afternoon, readability 5.
Add aerodrome information please, VFR to Earls Colne 1 POB.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, roger, taxiing for runway 27 right, via the grass please, QNH is 1029.
27 right, via the grass, QNH 1029, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor. It all, once again, feeling quite alien. Just, you know, the dial there and not there and everything else. It's like, I mean, I've read up on the books, I've had the differences training, but it doesn't quite prepare you. Set for takeoff, emergency gear override, controls, doors, storm window, landing light, transponder. Okay, left hand seat takeoff, runway 27, rotate at 75, time at 96. Got a problem on the ground, we'll close the throttle and brake if we've taken off. We'll select the glide of 97, looking to land back. If we can't land back, we're looking for a field to the left or to the right. 97 being the glide. Trim runaway, it's grasp the yoke, hard, push and hold the autopilot, and then pull the trim, the circuit breaker. We've got heading 0, altitude bugged of 5, heading select IAS, heading IAS. Alpha Victor holding point Charlie and ready for departure.
India Victor, roger, with one on to vacate, nothing known to affect you, lining up.
Okay, lining up, runway 27 right, Golf India Victor. Okay, we got 40 inches, airspeed's increasing, T's and P's are in the green, 70 knots, there's 75, rotate.
Now, I'm sure you've noticed the red RPM overspeed alarm coming on the GI 275 instrument. Nothing's been changed with the propeller governor, it's just that the old instrument was not as accurate as the new one, and so we're going to have the propeller governor adjusted to bring it back within its limitations. It took me a little while to notice that on departure. I did eventually pull the RPM back, but that's something I'm going to have to adjust manually until I can get the get that adjusted by maintenance. Nothing to do with the avionics install, it's just that the new instrument is much more accurate than the old analog one. And so for the first time ever in India Victor, I'm going to activate the autopilot. Quite a moment for me. This is something I've always wanted to have, a reliable autopilot. I'm a little bit wobbly still as I'm choosing the options that I want, making sure I've got everything right before I activate it. And even then, when pressing the button, my hand is still guarding that yoke. Not entirely convinced, but yeah, I needn't worry. It was rock solid. Did exactly what I needed it to do.
Copy Victor, leaving the area to the northeast, passing altitude 3,200 feet, climbing to altitude 3,500 feet, changing en route frequency. Good day.
Roger, have a nice trip, enjoy the new toys.
Cheers, mate. And the autopilot's levelling us off now at 3,500. P's are in the green, increasing in speed. Going back to 28 inches now, and 2,300. It's going to take, it's always coming to a new setup. Always takes a little bit of getting used to, doesn't it? We've got T's and P's are in the green.
Western radio, this is
Got 033 heading. We're on our track. Flaps are up, gears up.
1029.
It's good to be back in India, Victor, and very strange to be sat here with the aircraft holding altitude perfectly. We're going to go to Earls Colne because I've got someone to go and meet there. We're going to get a big update on the plans for crossing the ocean, crossing the Atlantic. I've got somebody helping me out with some of the logistics, so we're going to talk about some of those logistics, some of the complications. That's going to be useful, so that's why we're going to Earls Colne today, to have a chat about the Atlantic. So if you've been following that story and want to see where we're at, what route we're taking and how we're doing it, that's coming up in a sec.
It's so great to finally have a really top-notch autopilot. It is so smooth and so solid, the GFC 500. In all of the flying I've done since this flight, it hasn't missed a beat. It hasn't even dropped off line. It's just carried on doing its job, even in sort of choppy conditions. The autopilot I didn't find too hard getting used to. I'd flown with GFC 500 with friends before, and you know, knew how to use it. I did a really extensive bit of differences training with one of my followers, David, which was excellent, and we went through all of the kind of abnormal, what do they call them, abnormal operations that you can sometimes have, trim runaway being the most insidious of all of them, and we practiced that.
I think the biggest thing I'm getting used to is the presentation of the engine information, power setting there. The fuel flow is in gallons, not litres. We've got the temperature and the pressure, the fuel flow. We've got the 6 cylinder head temperatures, the 6 exhaust gas temperatures, the turbine inlet temperatures, and we've got the power volts there. So I'm just getting used to that. We've got a lean assist here, which I've used to lean to 100 degrees Richard peak. We got an endurance page which shows us how much endurance we got left, just over 3 hours. All good information to have, but that's going to get a bit of getting used to. I was always, you know, I know exactly what I'm doing with the analog gauges that used to be down here. And the autopilot itself, just doing simple things with it today. I'm not trying to be overly clever. I don't want to get distracted by overdoing it.
Yeah, I've had that in the past when I've had a change to the aircraft. I get fixated on the change or the new bit of kit, and I notice that my flying suffers a little bit, and I didn't want to fall into that trap today, but I did allow myself to program in a hold. I was really keen to see how easy that would be. I was in some fairly open airspace, so gave that one a bit of a go before heading into Earls Colne.
Just going to do that. I'm just going to see how it does a hold. But in a simple hold, it's just going to go round into the hold as soon as we reach the waypoint. Nothing clever. Direct entry hold, that's what we're expecting. In 3 seconds. Start the clock. Just want to see if it does an actual exactly 4-minute hold, it works it out. Got wind from the northwest today.
This was incredible to sort of see the aircraft just do what I told it to do, and enter that hold, something that is really hard to do manually when you're juggling everything else, reading plates, speaking to ATC, doing the crosswind corrections in the hold, and yet the aircraft, you just set it up with a few clicks and into the hold it goes, which frees you up to do the more important tasks. So this is a game changer for me.
I'm going to unsuspend that now, and it will take the turn, hopefully now onwards to Earls Colne. Golf India Victor, crosswind, circuit height.
Golf India Victor, roger.
I did actually put in a VNAV descent to get me to the overhead at exactly circuit height, and that worked brilliantly as well. So that's another little tool that I can use to have me arrive at certain points at certain altitudes precisely without me having to do all the maths. The Autopilot does it for me. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Garmin. I paid full whack for all of this kit. So I'm speaking from the heart here.
Golf India Victor, final runway 24.
Golf India Victor, roger, position 280 degrees, 5 knots.
Golf India Victor.
Kind of messed up the approach a little bit. I was too high, so I had to put in quite an aggressive slip, which is what you see me doing there, to lose the height without affecting the speed. Not the best thing to do, but you do what you have to do sometimes, don't you?
Well, that was such a thrill to finally get India Victor back, and wow, isn't that panel great now? It's kind of the aircraft of my dreams. I know that might sound strange, you know, it is after all a 1977 PA-28, but it's my 1977 PA-28 equipped just how I like it and just how I need it, without spending huge amounts of money. Well, yes, actually no, it was quite a lot of money, but I could have spent double, 3 times that, couldn't I, if I'd really thrown everything at it. But yeah, it's going to help me navigate the UK and Europe safely, IFR, and even cross the Atlantic this coming May. So yeah, brilliant, well chuffed, well chuffed. Right, I'm going to pay for my landing fee. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
I need to pay my landing fee,
Yeah,
that's all.
you had one of our loyalty cards?
Oh no, what's that?
No, okay, so it's a new thing. You get to 5 stamps, so every time you pay a landing fee, you get a stamp, and then on your 6th visit you get one free, or you can carry on collecting and collect 10 stamps, and then on your 11th visit you get your landing fee free, and you get 5p off every litre on that visit.
Very nice. It's like Starbucks, isn't it?
Indeed, isn't it?
Well, you better stamp me in then.
The stamp of many, there we go.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
So I left Carolyn to fill up India Victor's tanks while I headed over to nearby Braintree to the offices of Echo 3, a specialist flight operations company.
Hello, James.
Hi John, how are you?
Good to see you. So
Thank
this
you.
is Echo 3 then?
Yeah, welcome to Echo 3.
So what do you do here?
So we're a flight support company. We provide flight planning, fuel, permits, handling setups, slots, PPRs and concierge services for all types of operators and aircraft owners around the world.
Talk me through the team. What does everyone do here?
Well, we've got a 24/7 operations department behind my right shoulder here who will work through the day and night on a shift basis. We've got ferry specialists through to charter and obviously our accounts team as well.
So literally people are here all the time?
Yes.
Wow. And how can you help a flight like mine? Because you got in touch knowing that I'm crossing the Atlantic. You know, it's not the most extraordinary thing in the world, but you know, for a little pilot like me, that's quite a challenge. And you thought you could help with that?
Yes. Well, we can provide you that level of support and that confidence that you've got someone behind the scenes helping you every way throughout your trip. The smaller aircraft, they're more complex and more detailed, and you need a level of support because you're flying through weather at the lower levels. But you've got that reassurance that someone's here to help you along your way. Should plans change, you might need to divert due to weather, you might have a technical problem, we can get the items set up so if you do have to divert, you're not arriving to someone's surprise. That's what we can do.
You kind of imagine companies like you sort of deal with the larger jets, you know, with lots of passengers and so on, but you do actually do stuff for private pilots like me?
Yes, we do. We have big corporate operators who will have the larger private jets, but also we have smaller aircraft. They may be ferrying from one location to another, but we also have pilot owners. They will have their own aircraft and they'll pilot it themselves, and they will want to take it on tours. There may be a US operator or owner, and they want to come to Europe, and we'll help them fulfill their trip and look after them while they're on their way.
So I think you said it's a chap called Steve who's going to be helping me with my plans. Should we go and speak to Steve?
Yes, let's do that.
All right, this way?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm due to set off from Blackbush Airport on the 23rd of May. Blackbush is the headquarters of the Aerobility charity, for whom I'm trying to raise £50,000. If you can spare a few quid, there's a donation link on my website. From Blackbush, it'll be up to one of the Scottish airports, probably Prestwick or Wick, then off to Vega in the Faroe Islands, Reykjavik in Iceland, Kulusuk in East Greenland, and then Kangerlussuaq or Nuuk in the west. Next, it's Canada, where I'll make land at Iqaluit before heading down to Goose Bay, to then enter the US at Bangor in Maine. Once in the States, I intend to visit Niagara Falls, New York, Lock Haven, the birthplace of the Piper Aircraft Company, Washington, then down to Orlando for a break before ending up at Oshkosh on the 19th of July. Echo 3 has promised to make it all work without a hitch, well, at least in terms of the things that they have control over.
Steve, good to see you.
Hi John, nice to meet you.
You've got my route on your screen there, which I've been poring over these last few months. A well-trodden route, that.
It is.
And anything there that alarms you?
No, not particularly. The route's fairly common. It's a standard routing across the North Atlantic, both eastbound and westbound, for the smaller aircraft, which don't have necessarily the requisite long-range navigation systems that most do nowadays. So it's a well-trodden path. I think used to be known as the Blue Spruce route.
That's it.
From the Second World War, where they used to ferry the aircraft across from the US to Europe. So normally, so the UK to Iceland, across to the usual stops in Greenland, then across to Canada, each sector is about 700 nautical miles, between 600-700 miles. So they're fairly set sector lengths. Obviously, you're going to be in the PA-28 Aero, so you're going to be limited a little bit by your service ceiling, oxygen requirements, and of course the weather. The things to take into account. When you set off is May, isn't it?
End of May, yeah.
End of May. So hopefully the weather's going to be favourable. Obviously going to be going into the prevailing winds.
In terms of the stops,
Yeah,
so Kulusuk on the east is gravel.
it is.
I think fuel by the barrel.
Correct.
And you can help with that?
Yes, we can. Yeah, absolutely. Echo 3 has access to several providers, fuel suppliers around the world, who then subsequently have accounts with local airports and ground handling agents and so on and so forth. So yes, Avgas we can source, even if it is in the barrel, 55-gallon drums, and you can only buy a whole barrel at a time.
That is slightly annoying.
But yeah, absolutely, we can help with that.
And what about, I mean, you mentioned the Blue Spruce route, and I picked that so as to be legal in terms of communications, because ordinarily I think you're meant to have HF, but the northern routes you can get away with it?
Yes, so the northern route was designed, as I said, for aircraft with limited navigation equipment and limited communication equipment. So you will just about be within theoretical VHF cover at the flight levels you're planning to fly. So there's no need for HF communication.
Now, I think from a customs and sort of immigration point of view, we're pretty much okay until we get to Canada.
Yes, correct. Before entering Canada, you need to submit a CAN pass notification to the reporting office, which I believe is in Ottawa, Canadian Border Services Agency. So we're Echo 3, we will transmit the information to that office beforehand, but it's the pilot's responsibility to telephone the reporting centre anytime between 48 hours and 2 hours before arriving in Canada, and we'll provide that information to you so you're not scrabbling around for telephone numbers and so on.
And then America, a similar sort of scenario?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's no need to report to CBSA on departing Canada, but obviously entering the United States. So I believe you're planning to go to Bangor in Maine. So the requirement firstly is for you guys to have visas.
Yeah, we've got visas.
And we'll submit an EAPIS notification, which is Electronic Advanced Passenger Information System. So we will submit that to Customs and Border Protection, and we'll also need to request landing rights in Bangor as well. Okay, so submitting the APIS and getting an acknowledgement that it's been received doesn't necessarily grant you permission to land at a specific airport. It's basically to ensure that customs are available at those times that you're planning to arrive. You know, they could be busy with commercial operations at the time. They might not have the staff available and so on, and it's almost a form of prior permission required from PPR, so it's to ensure they're going to be there for your arrival. They can be quite strict on they'll often give you a window of arrival time, and they will turn you away if you're going to be any later than that sometimes.
All right, okay.
But we'll keep them up to date as well. So
Yeah.
we'll always telephone ahead once we see that you're airborne from your airport of departure. We'll know what your ETA is, and we'll telephone just to confirm that you're arriving on time or advise of any delays or anything.
Look, I think, you know, I could have done this all myself, I think. I mean, you'd probably agree with me. You know, well-trodden path, spoken to lots of ferry pilots. You know, it's not complicated until it goes wrong. But why am I using you? How are you actually going to add value to this for me?
Okay, I think your challenge is you want to fly the aeroplane. You don't want to be burdened with all the admin that goes with that necessarily. So that's what we do. You know, we do all the running around, the organising, take the pressure off you, the worry of you know, have I set this up, have I set that up, or this needs changing, that needs changing. That's what we do. You just fly the aeroplane.
I really like the sound of that. I can have the fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do all the hard work.
You know, you're going to Oshkosh to have fun, I believe, and raise some money as well for a well-deserved cause. And yeah, we're glad to be part of that and do whatever we need to do to make it as easy as possible for you.
Between now and departure day, I'll be flying as much as possible, gaining confidence in the new kit, exposing myself to more challenging weather where I can, and refining the plan. I'll be sharing as much of the behind the scenes content as I'm able to with my Members Club subscribers. Join that for exclusive updates before and during the mission, but also to receive our monthly pilot briefing, monthly webinars, access to flyouts, meetups, and a range of superb discounts such as tickets to the private flyer show where I'll be giving a talk, cut price aircraft detailing with Aeroshine, and up to 20% off products at Poolies. Sign up to the club through Patreon. It would be great to have you on board. Right now, members are watching a bonus video where I delve into my garage to look at some of the extra kit I've had to purchase to ready me for the Atlantic crossing. But that's where we'll leave today's episode. Until next time, fly safely, my friends.